AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer, Chicago's Morning Answer. Chris Crocken for Dan Proft. He is back on Monday. 312-642-5600 is our number, 312-642-5600. Grover Norquist, who is the president of Americans for Tax Reform. Grover, joining us this morning. Grover, welcome to Chicago's Morning Answer.
Chris, good to be with you.
Very good to be with you. Exact type of person I wanted to talk to you about all the stuff going on right now. You put this tweet out: voters didn't hand Republicans the presidency and control of Congress to expand Obamacare. I want to talk to you about that. First of all, Wall Street Journal had a great piece that I cite all the time in the past several weeks. And I want you to confirm this and expound upon this. The subsidies that the Democrats are fighting for are, for example, a family of four living in Phoenix, Arizona, making up to $600,000 a year. We're paying for their subsidies. A married couple living in West Virginia, making up to $580,000. Now, $580,000 a year in West Virginia is probably like making $1 million in Chicago. A single person in Vermont making up to $180,000 a year. We're subsidizing their health care. Is that accurate? And please expound upon this.
Yes, because this is not about helping people in need. They've refused to check recipients of all sorts of welfare programs, the Democrats over the years, and the bureaucracy is still fighting. What the president wanted to do, what Elon Musk wanted to do is, can we take a list of alive American citizens and check it with a list of people getting checks, supposedly because they're alive American citizens? And perhaps we should also check whether they're getting one check or seven.
Right.
And the Democrats are having a hissy fit. That's cheating. You can't do that. Which makes you wonder how much fraud they think there is. The government, the establishment bureaucrats, they admit 15 to 20% of the checks that go out of Medicaid, Medicare is fraudulent, and higher than that numbers on food stamps. So there's a lot that needs to be done to reform welfare and to simply make sure that the people who shouldn't be getting checks from hardworking, the government's taking this money from people and giving it to somebody else. It's not like it's in the air, just, poof, it just showed up. So yes, and also people who aren't citizens are getting that. The Democrats got around by saying, well, you have to be documented. Documented means they gave you a little ticket when you illegally crossed the border, and the ticket says, please show up in a court somewhere in the next 17 years, and we'll talk about it then. And maybe you won't show up, but we won't be looking for you either. That's they mean document. They mean document. You have a document. The document says you're not a citizen and you're here not legally. Okay, that's what the document says. But they're documented. So it is. Here's what the subsidies are for. The subsidies are to cover up the fact that Obamacare has increased the cost of health care.
Yes.
They promised us it'd go down $2,500 for a family. It doubled instead. So the reason they have and basically Obama and the Democrats, every single Democrat voted for it. Obama and the Democrats lied. They told us you can keep your doctor. They told you can keep your insurance. They told you it would cost less. They told you it would not reduce your choices. And it did all of the things that they lied and said they wouldn't do. It was designed to fail. And when it failed, this is back when the Democrats thought they'd own the House and Senate and the presidency for some time. When it failed, they would use that failure to expand it, to force more people into it, to make it truly government run everything all the time. And what the Republicans are saying is, we're not going to bail out failure. We're not going to keep digging on something that hasn't worked, makes things worse, and putting $500 billion more to make it so that some of the obvious failures are hidden because it comes out of taxpayers instead of out of people's pockets when they go to the doctor. It is the answer to that's no. And the Republicans are talking about and have the legislation to dramatically expand individual health savings accounts and other group efforts, religious groups, business groups, industry groups, where they can create insurance pools for themselves outside of the government rules, because the government rules are set up not for you, but for the government.
Grover Norquist, president of the Americans for Tax Reform. So, in December, the Republicans, in reopening the government, which gratefully has happened now, and Democrats got nothing for their disaster other than making people suffer, but they're going to they've allowed a vote on Obamacare in December. Doesn't mean the Democrats are going to get anything out of it, but I fear what the Republicans might do. What do you fear Republicans will do when it comes time to Obamacare, subsidies, and everything that's expiring, because the Democrats voted to sunset those subsidies?
Yes, the subsidies that are going away, as you say, because the Democrats themselves, when they were in power under Biden, didn't make them permanent because it was too obviously too expensive. So they kicked it out for a couple of years. So, it doesn't hardly cost anything. And then turn around and go, well, we lied. It won't work without being permanent. But we deliberately made it not permanent to hide the actual cost. I mean, the level of dishonesty here is breathtaking and should not be rewarded. The Republicans are united in saying we're not going to bail out Obamacare. What they will focus on is creating alternatives to Obamacare, allowing people to walk away from Obamacare and do what they want, to have the same tax advantages for new ideas as opposed to the old setups, so that people can walk out the door and say, thank you very much, I'll pass on this Obamacare thing. I'll pass on paying for it, and I'll pass on having it. How about that? I'll go get my own insurance. Leave me alone. And
how likely, though,
the
is
only
this
way to fix it is that. Yeah.
How likely is it that's going to happen, though? That's my fear, my concern. They're going to cave. The Republicans are going to cave. And how likely is it on Trump's idea to just give the money to us, use for HSAs, which I think is great. But how likely are these things to go down this way? Because I'm concerned the Republicans are going to cave.
I think one should always be concerned that the pressure in this town in Washington, D.C., from the bureaucracy, the establishment press, is to do the big government thing. But if the Republicans wanted to cut a deal with the Democrats to paper over the failures of Obamacare, they could have done that in the last 43 days. And it was the House and the Senate, even more than some of the White House staff, that said, absolutely. The president was solid, but there were White House staff guys trying to imagine what you might do to cut a deal, which is frightening. Not their job.
Yes.
The House and Senate. They'll show you how to fight in the House and the Senate.
Right.
But Thune, the head of the Senate for the Republicans, is just absolute rock solid. No, never, not. And the same thing with Mike Johnson, who is just a brilliant leader of the Republicans in the House. This is a guy with a 2 or 3, on a good day, 4 vote margin in the House of Representatives. And, people who run for office tend to be self-absorbed to a certain extent. And if you vote against the rest of the Republican Party, you can be on TV that night. So imagine the lure there to, come say something snotty about the president or about the tax bill or something, and you're on TV. I used to do a lot of TV on CNN. Trump got elected, and then nothing. But had I decided to do what some other people did, which is, I think I'll be a constant critic of the president, I could have been on CNN every third hour. And imagine they do that to congressmen. If you're not on a big committee, you're not, you don't have a lot of power, but you can be on TV, and all you have to do is sell out a little bit. But once you do that, then you only get invited back. I mean, nobody asks Romney what he thinks unless he's throwing a punch at Trump.
Yes, right.
So by becoming a critic, they're in the little card, the Rolodex that they have. I need Trump critic. and Romney's there. And they never, Romney, I'm sure, has plenty of good thoughts on, that he might share. I wish we could do this or that or the other thing. He was a senator. He ran for president. He was a governor. But the only time he can get on TV, he did this to himself by being available to be the critic. You're now in that box, and we'll call you. Don't tell me we don't put you on TV. We'll put you on TV as often as you want to sell out and criticize the president and the Republicans, which is why you have, and the guys who aren't, even if you're generally a good Republican, it is just so tempting to go on TV and be the guy who won't vote for the bill until the last minute. So most of these Republicans, almost everybody has to vote for it because you only got a couple vote margin. But if you're one of the 10 that they start off with, because we've only done this like 6 times, with where we're at panic that we don't have the votes, and people, I'm a no, I'm a hard no. Well, you're going to be on TV and radio for some time until you say yes the night of the vote. So one, don't panic when you hear I was told yesterday it's breaking down because 1 or 2 guys were raising questions. It didn't, but they each had something they wanted to tell the world. They weren't enemies of the people or something. They wanted to tell the world something. Massey wanted to explain to you that the government's too big. You know, Massey, we know that.
Yes.
And what Ron Paul used to do when we had a 30 vote margin would be the guy who stood up and said, "This is not perfect. Let me tell you what perfect would be." And I'm the North Star on this subject, which is fine and useful and not a bad thing when you have a 30 vote margin. But It's not terribly helpful when you have a 2 vote margin.
Right. Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform, thank you very much for joining us this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, Chris, thank you for having me.
Great having you. Coming up next, I want to talk about